This is Daniel Eli, reincarnated biblical prophet and incarnate angel. Enjoy the movie. This is a 45-minute part 2.
Okay, I entitled this video actually something about how to grow spiritually in the new age, or something to that effect. I haven't figured out the exact title of it yet. This is going to be a 2-part video, or possibly longer, but okay, how much time should you spend every day in spiritual practice in your view? Like 45 minutes, 3 hours, 6 hours, all the time? What do you think?
Well, I feel that we're spiritually growing every single second of the day, every single second of our lives, and it's just one big journey. That's what I feel.
Okay, how often, assuming that you're a God believer, a capital G God, basically the monotheistic type of religion God, how often do you think of God, right, in your mind in a day? Like how many minutes a day?
Well, I don't know, it depends. I think about it, God a lot, with like, what should I do in my life, is that the right decision for me? Is it what God would approve of, I don't know, it's on my mind quite a lot, I'd say.
Well, I will tell you that the spiritual masters, in Tibet and India, like the Far East and all that, they recommend that you tie 10% of your time, right, strictly to spiritual, like intense spiritual practice, right? Like not like a wishy-washy spiritual practice, but rather like I'm talking intense as in meditative prayer, or reading scriptures intently, or chanting names of God with burning incense and all that kind of thing. Like 2.4 hours a day. That's 10% of 24 hours.
Yeah, it's good to spend a lot of time on it. I think one big thing is the more spiritual growth you can gain for yourself is based on the spiritual understanding of the world you live in and how everything works. The better understanding you have of the reality you live in, the better understanding you can gain on yourself.
Okay, what should you and I be focused on, right, in our path and journey and everything? Should we be focused on the afterlife to a disproportionate degree, or should we, like storing up treasures in heaven for the afterlife, that kind of thing? Or should we be focused on what we're doing right here in the here and now? Or is it a combination of both?
Mainly like what should we do like right now for ourselves and to better the world, just to make everything better, It also has a lot to do with if everything's already like predestined, and some things are unavoidable, and like encountering like those into the equation.
Hi, it's Charlie again. I'll just flip back to the last question. It's quite interesting really about, you're talking about the amount of time spiritual practice. I kind of use the term my daily disciplines, and throughout the day I often pray to be tolerant, often pray not to react, whatever. But and I have times where I fine tune it, and then I have times where I don't. And it's quite interesting at the moment that it's a time when I should be fine tuning, like doing more than usual, putting more effort in, and that I'm not, because I'm actually facing my dark side at the moment, and I'm where am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? I've got all those great big questions going on, and totally lost. and oh, it's amazing that I'm praying for the willingness to do my daily disciplines. And I'm not. So it's funny that you should ask that question. I know that I'm being looked after, but at a time when I really need to be doing it, my own darkness is kind of, the resistance is so powerful. I can't break through it. I just can't break through it. So I'm just trusting that it's a time thing, and just being patient with where I'm at with it. But it's an interesting question that going through difficult times, there can be a pullback on those disciplines.
Well, Charlie, the thing that came to me when you were sharing was only one word: surrender. And doesn't, to me, matter what it is that we're going through, we need to surrender. And sometimes we just need to just sit there in the stuff that we're dealing with on a daily basis, because it is teaching us something. And so if we give that all up and surrender it to God, and say to God, you handle this, I can't, and you just keep doing what's before you, the wind of change will come. It always does, and we're always stronger for having gone through that dark night of the soul, I call it. And as for living in the, going towards the afterlife, I also think of life as here and now. I know that people sometimes live in the past and they can't let it go. So the part that they need to learn in their life is to let go and let God. And to me, that all goes back to surrender. When I put up my white flag and say I'm defeated and I surrendered, I can get myself out of my own way in order to get back to where I need to be. So what I was taught many, many years ago is that if I take care of this moment right now, that the future is going to take care of itself. And you know what? I have a really good life today as a result of doing that for a long, long time. I've had my fair share of headaches and heartaches, and probably will still have some more as I'm going on my journey. The thing is that I have the keys in order to get through them a lot easier than I did when I first started, when I was first woken up. So, I can be very grateful for that. And the only reason I'm able to do that is because I live in now time. I am checking up on myself every step of the way, every day. That's why I said, my spirituality is 24/7. If I find myself thinking an unkind thought, I correct it right then and there. I have learned to listen to my thoughts. I have learned to listen to my inner being, my emotions, how I feel about things that are around me. And I fix those things as I'm going along so that I don't have to go back and redo that kind of stuff. So that's how I do it. Maybe other people have a better way of doing it. It works for me. It may not work for everyone. But, if you are stuck in the past, it's hard to have a better today. So taking a look at it, and sometimes you have to go back in order to clear it so that you can get into now time. And then you need to have people who can actually show you what now time is, because it can be pretty intense at times.
Yeah. Now, I don't even know what I'm going to say right now. What I'm going to do right now, show you how I operate, is simply pray to God, right? My mind is blank right now. I'm not thinking of any kind of thing whatsoever, and I'm going to just pray to God and see where the direction of this conversation shall go. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So if you hear a moment of silence, that's me praying to God. Okay, I'm hitting this. Bibles and organized religions suit us the best when we're down and out, against our will sometimes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I don't know where Daniel's gone, but I just seen a type saying connection and shifts, which I thought is I quite like that, connection and shifts, and it is a bit of a wow for me, and so I just want to share it. So I went to this meditation class the other night, and he brought up karma, and he kind of gave a brief kind of, this is what generally people think, and he gave a few descriptions, and I was in the mindset that karma was, if I've affected somebody in a negative offence, it will come back to me and they'll pass it on, and so it's kind of spread. But he held up this the thing that he hit the gong with, and he spoke as karma, as in it was made from wood, and that someone chopped down the wood, and that someone sculpted the wood, and then someone varnished the wood, and then someone got this material from this animal. And he was talking about, all these different energies and all these different people and all these different tools that were brought in to just make this one drum piece, to hit this gong. And I just read that thing saying connections and shifts, and I don't know, I just thought that was an interesting thing to share, as in, when of about spirituality and how everything's interconnected, and for that moment, and it's kind of still stuck with me, you know, that interconnectedness of everything. So I just wanted to share that.
I'm channeling this here right now, just spontaneously. The wayfaring soldier, or the path of the wayfarer, is like a warrior. We battle and try to enter the kingdom of God through violence. But once you ease into it, and you allow things to happen, how much easier the path is. The struggle is not as much. When you simply open up your heart, open up your mind, open up your body, open up your soul to allow the divine within, everywhere present, to come everywhere present within, then great, tremendous things will happen. So those who are trying to force their way into the kingdom of God will find a very big struggle, right? A painful struggle. They're going to be like hitting brick walls and everything. They desperately want to meditate, maybe. Like, what if you want to meditate? You want God so badly. You want to understand so badly that you're willing to sit cross-legged and meditate without sleep for like 30 days, right? That the people are willing to meditate for like 30 days straight without sleep or food or anything. Do you think that's really necessary, or do you think we can sort of just do it in a much easier way? Because we all want spiritual growth. I'm assuming that's why we're on this planet. That's what people would conclude, right? We want spiritual growth. We want to be spiritual. We want God. We want happiness, maybe even bliss, right? What's the path to bliss? Have you ever found an aspect of bliss in your life, in your search for God and the divine, and in your life path, without drugs? So I'm not talking about getting drunk here, right?
We come with all of those things within us already. The thing is that we don't recognize it, we don't remember it, and that's why we need to walk on this earth so that we can reconnect and integrate that within ourselves and be whole again. That's what this is all about. I don't think we have to do anything. We already are. We just need to be. And what we've been doing is we've been doing so much that we forgot about being, and so we're getting further away from what the goal is for ourselves. So I choose to just be, and I choose to surrender and get out of my own way so that things can happen. And we are in the days of manifestation, and that's why it's so important to live in the here and now, because we have the ability within ourselves to manifest whatever we wish. So that's why it's so important to check up on our thoughts and see where our thoughts are going, because if our thoughts are not of a higher vibration, we're going to attract lower vibration to us, and we're not going to manifest the kind of things that we need to, that we want to manifest in our life. So many times in the last little while, I've thought something, something that I've really wanted in my heart, and the next day, there it is. It appears. I live in awe every moment of my day, because I can see the beauty in all of it, even in the stuff that's not so great that's happening in my life. There is it is there is good stuff that comes out of that, and I know that with all of my heart. Like I said, I walked my own dark night of the soul. We all have to walk that path in order to find the other side of that and be strengthened by it. So, I mean, the message just gets simpler and simpler. We don't have to do anything. We just need to be. We are spiritual beings. We're walking a human experience. And the human experience is, you know, we need to learn to love others unconditionally. And we don't do that. God loves us no matter what we do. We need to love people no matter what they do, just as God does. And that's really hard for us. So we're not any closer to peace on this planet because we're still fighting with one another. There's still a lot of envy and there's still a lot of greed. There's still a lot of materialism. So we still have a lot of work to do on this planet. And I think those of us who have the message and have come through this have a duty, responsibility and obligation to stand up and speak our truths and be examples of that so that we can get this planet turned around.
Yeah, you know, there's the old saying that goes, no man is an island, right? Like, there may be people of, like, lesser and greater spiritual attainments, but in the big picture, we're all together. We're all in this together, aren't we? You know, we have to share a planet here with 7 billion people. It's not like you can isolate yourself completely from the rest of the population, like living on a Pacific island, like in the movie Castaway there with Tom Hanks. It's in real life. It's just not like that. We have to be with others. We have to coexist here. So if we're going to coexist, why not make it a better planet? And the way to do that is not always through massive organizations, because you'd be surprised at how small things, right? Like, let's say you go for a walk, a 1 hour walk, and along that walk, you wave at traffic, and you smile at everyone passing by. You say, "Hi, how are you doing? I love you, sir, just for you being you." And let's say you pick up food, flowers on while you're walking in the summertime, and you hand it to the clerk at 7-Eleven. You say, "You know what? This is just for being you. I want you to be happy. Spread the word, spread the joy," right? Just do something strange like that, right? You'd be surprised, because especially when you do it to like a bus driver or a clerk at 7-Eleven, because you know how many people 7-Eleven clerks see in the daytime, right? So if you could make the day of one clerk, who then spreads to maybe 30 people or 60 people, who then spread to 8 people each, right? That's the butterfly effect. That's how it works.
It's Charlie again. Oh, God, I'm so tired. Athena said something about people waking up, and you see, I'm only 40 and I don't know a lot, but the first 12-step program AA started in 1935, and there's now like so many groups that stem from that. Gamblers Anonymous, OA Anonymous, blah 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 Anonymous. And I do know, added to the equation, that, you know, mental health is like a major issue, like all over, and that there are either 2 ways to deal with this, and that is either you stick a pill down your neck or you seek help. And there is more help. No, I don't know if there's more help. I think there's an awareness today of being, you know, of people finding out their truth, of like being honest, you know, because we don't have the security now, do we, of like old school, getting married, factory job, do you know what I mean, the family unit's broken down, so everything that they were brought up with before the war, that's all gone to pot in it, and there's no security in that no more, and so we have these huge mental health issues, dysfunctions, whatever. And I think that is bringing people, I think you said something about there being a manifestation of people growing into awareness, and I totally agree. I think we are, I really like to think that we're coming into an age, you know, I can worry about my son, but you know what, I know if he need be, which he probably will, it will be there for him. There's an awareness there. There's a, you know, we're sitting here talking now. There's an awareness out there, ready, available. Do you know what I mean? And the spiritual connection with that awareness is kind of going more hand in hand than previously. Although I'm assuming that because I don't really know a lot. And I'm not really that old enough to know. But what I'm trying to say is I think that there is a growing consciousness of people waking up. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why I'm entitling this recording, this interview here, Growing Spirituality in the New Age, or How to Grow Spiritually in the New Age. Because this whole New Age is about spiritually people waking up to their divine reality and their true self and everything, right? That's what, in a nutshell, what this New Age is really about. It's not about some deceptive antichrist who's trying to deceive people. You know, like that's the whole Christian viewpoint of what New Age means. The New Age just simply means a new age, right? The age of Aquarius, right? Spiritually awakening, spiritual growth, and spiritual identity. Now, this New Age, when do you think it really began? In my view, it began with the song in the late 60s, like, "This is the age of Aquarius." It really, the seeds really began back then. Then, you know, especially in like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, it's really taken off. Like, and the New Age, it involves many different things. It's not an organized religion. It's more like a very loosely conglomerated organ. It's not an organization, though. It's not a church, right? It's not a church called New Age Church. No one really likes to call themselves New Ager, right? You don't see people saying, "Hey, I'm a New Ager," right? But it's about people reawakening to old spiritual paths, right? Like shamanism, reincarnation, crystals, right? Crystals and incense, things that have been hidden from the masses for centuries that have come to light, you know, in the New Age here. That's why they call it New Age. And it also involves music too. It's not just things like that. It's also music, like the singer Enya or Demius or Yanni. There's like an ethereal, meditative music that I seem to really be attracted to. That's good for meditation, all right? It's like heavenly music, and I don't know. So I guess I could call it, like, I'm not going to call myself a New Ager, right? But some people would call me a New Ager, right? Because of the label. People like labels, right? They need to know what religion you are. Like, are you Baptist? Are you Catholic? Are you Presbyterian? Are you Muslim? Hindu? Buddhist? They want a label so they can categorize you. But what if you're beyond labels, right? You're so far beyond any kind of measure that someone can place upon you because you've retained to God consciousness. And how can you place a label on God? Yeah, you know, like, I guess the phrase she's like, I'm spiritual but not religious. I had to rent. You know what just came to mind is Interview with a Vampire. Now, I don't know why that came to mind until I started to contemplate, and I asked God, and I said, why Interview with the Vampire? Because what if you were to, instead of interview with the vampire on Halloween, you were to interview with an angel on Halloween, right? Because we should have kids dressed in angel uniforms rather than witches uniforms, shouldn't we? That's just my own little joke there, but see, if you... Did I stump you there? Well, you can call yourself a witch. I'm not gonna like condemn you or anything. You know, I'm one part of like being like, you know, a spiritual person is being tolerant, right? But do we tolerate evil, right? Do we if someone's lying through their teeth, or they're beating up a kid for no reason or something, you just tolerate that, right? You sit back and say, oh, that's their own choice. They're doing that. I have nothing to do with that. It's their business. And, you know, just put yourself in a bubble and mind your own business, right? Well, you hear those stories of people that get mugged in New York City, and they're like, you know, in a pile, they're all beat up, right? The guy's getting mugged, and there's like 30 people walking by. The guy's getting mugged and beat up with the blunt end of a gun or something. And then the robber just takes off, and the guy's laying there, and no one stops to help him, right? What kind of world is that where, you know, no one, and people are afraid to help because something bad may happen to them, right? They may get robbed by the robber, or they'll get sued, right? Oh, I'm afraid of a lawsuit, therefore I'm going to allow this guy to get beat up. Yeah, that reminds me, there's this one woman named Joan who I let stay in my apartment last year. She was homeless. Now, she was walking on the street with all this traffic going by. She only had one shoe on, right? Her beat-up foot was walking barefoot on her right foot. And I said, Joan, what are you doing? Like, where's the other shoe? And she's holding her other shoe in her hand. And she said, it's broken. The heel broke off it. I can't walk. So I said, oh, for crying out loud. So I went out and got my bike and went to one house and knocked on the door and asked if they had an extra pair of shoes, right? Size 9 or whatever. So I got a pair of shoes and I brought it over to Joan. And, you know, like, but she's like walking with all this traffic going by. And she's like afraid to ask anyone because she knows she's going to be rejected, right? People are just not going to care.
Yeah, I think that can be down to an area. There's different, from city to the other spectrum, very rural. I think different areas have different kind of. If I'm living in a city and there's occurrences like that every day, my cousin, he confronted this guy who was blatantly, hitting his girlfriend in the street, and he got his neck slashed from ear to ear. That's the violence, the high risk violence in the inner city is on a different level than it is in rural or lower end of the spectrum. So, I mean, I live in an area that's quite thoughtful and it's quite considerate, and so that kind of thing just would not happen here. There would be plenty of passers-by stopping and giving aid and giving support, but it does depend what area. And I do think there are many, many good people out there, but I think when you're living in a high crime, high violent area, people are too scared to help out, too scared.
I have a communication with angels who talk through me through the computer, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Okay, now I'm going to tell you one thing I did with my girlfriend, where I got confirmation through the computer. Okay, she found this new purse. She showed me this pink purse she found, right? She said, "Oh, look at this purse I found," but I had no money to put in it. So she went to the bathroom, and I looked in the purse. There's nothing in there, so I took out a $5 bill and I stuffed it in the purse with some change in there too, right? So then she comes back into the living room and I say, "Hey, you know what? I psychically picked up that there may be some money in that purse after all." She says, "Really?" So she goes and looks at it and says, "Oh, look at that, there's $5 in there." And then I was like, "Oh, right on," And then, so I went back to the computer, and what the angels were saying is, Daniel, they observed the whole thing, right? Invisible angels, yet they're communicating to me through the computer, like through the chat rooms and everything. And they said, "Daniel, what you just did was the most spiritual thing you could have done all day, to give your girlfriend $5, right?" I have a lot of examples like that where I do little good deeds. See, you don't have to be a multi-millionaire to help the poor. I live on like less than $1,000 a month right now. I make hardly any money at all, like just barely enough for food. But see, when I do get a little bit extra money, I get like bananas, right? And I'll write my website with a pen on the bananas, and I'll hand them out to homeless people, right? It's only 20 cents a banana, so you could.
It just made me think about my mentor many, many years ago, and he was talking about good deeds. And the thing he said to me about good deeds was this: I want you to go out and I want you to do some good deeds for other people. I want you to make a practice of that. And after you do the good deed, don't tell anybody what you've done. Just carry on. And so I did what he asked me to do. And for the longest time I didn't understand what that was, but it was a lesson in humility. And so if I do something for somebody, No, I understand that. I'm just going through it just because some people may not understand it. So when I'm doing something for somebody, I actually am doing the deed for myself. So it's a pretty interesting little exercise to do. You know, I'm sure we all do good deeds in our day, even if it's just smiling at somebody who's sad, because that smile might be the only smile that they get in a day that's going to keep them in their life. We never know where other people are. And God has a way of humbling us, believe me. Jimmy, if we're not humble, He has a way of humbling us. And, you know, with these gifts that we have come great responsibility. I sometimes think that these gifts that we have are a curse. I've learned to live with it and accept it, and, you know, do the best that I can with it every day and share my wisdom and knowledge with other people through my experience. I will not share anything with anybody unless I've actually experienced it firsthand myself. So I was very grateful to be part of this little radio thing that PD and Daniel are doing. I think I need to go to bed now, so I'll probably just sit here for a couple of minutes and listen a little bit, and then I'll be off and running.
What was that? Okay, yeah, the second portion of this recording is almost over anyways. So there's two of them so far that are 45 minutes long. We're approaching now the end of the second recording, and this could probably go on all night. We'll see how things progress here, but it won't be with Godsafina. And Godsafina, I really appreciate you coming to speak with us today, and I hope you got something out of it too. Oh yeah, about the humbling thing, right? I've been humbled so severely by being homeless for 4.5 years. There's actually 4 to 6 years. Two of those years were sort of part-time homelessness, but I spent a full 4 years being totally homeless. Now most people can't imagine that, right? You know, like how could that happen to someone like me, right? Intelligent, you know, decent person or whatever. You know, like. It was a choice I made, and I had an alcohol problem in this incarnation. It's because that I was homeless, though, that it makes me humble, and it makes me appreciative, right? How great it is to appreciate what you do have. You know, like I said, I make right now under $1,000 a month. You don't realize how thankful I am several times a day just to have that. You know, there was a time when I didn't have any of that. I had nothing. I had no roof over my head, no toilet, no microwave, no computer. You know, I was in the outskirts of cities getting snowed on and rained on. You know, and it makes you appreciate and humble yourself so much, right? People they don't appreciate what they do have, and here in the States and in the West in general, materially we have it very good. Now, when I was homeless, though, I didn't have any of that material stuff. I had no running water, I had no toilet, no shower, no microwave oven, no stove, no heater, no air conditioner. You know, I had to sleep outside in the snow and the hot sun with flies landing all over your face when you're trying to sleep. You know, so you